So Samsung has unveiled its latest A-series affordable Android phones with the Galaxy A33 5G and the Galaxy A53 5G. You're probably wondering just what is different between the duo and if you miss out on anything on the cheaper model. Well, we spent some hands-on time to find out. Thanks for watching 9to5 Google here on YouTube. Remember to thumbs up, hit subscribe and then tap the bell icon to be among the first to watch our upcoming videos. So as direct follow-ups to the similarly impressive A32 5G and the A52 5G released last year, not technically the A52s, there are bound to be some high hopes for these latest releases. Samsung has increased this A-series lineup over the past few years, and it's starting to become a really compelling way to get Galaxy-specific features, design and even a little bit more, all without a high price tag. If you're probably wondering at first glance, these do really look the same and they're hard to tell apart. The A53 and the A33 are very, very similar, and Samsung has worked hard to keep the differences to a minimum with the hardware, and the Korean tech giant has really done a fantastic job. Unlike last year, both phones come in what is practically the same chassis. The result is sometimes what seems like an indistinguishable kind of external frames with similar weight distribution when they're in your hands. Look a little bit closer though, and you can see some minor changes, including to the side rails on both of these devices, which are polished on the A53, but they're matte on the A33 5G. And personally, I think I'm in the camp of preferring the matte side rails here. There is also a distinct advantage to the A53 5G in terms of the screen on offer though, which we'll talk about right now. While both AMOLEDs are Full HD Plus rated, which is going to be great for content, the A33 packs in a 90Hz panel with a dewdrop notch at the top of that top bezel, while the A53 comes with a 120Hz screen and a central punch hole, similar to what we saw last year on the A52. The bezels as well, I will say that I think they are notably smaller on the A53, which is going to be a major benefit to this display, especially for content consumption. Overall though, in the hand, the A53 5G comes in at 189 grams, whereas the Galaxy A33 weighs in at 186. I think the difference is so small that you'd actually never notice, but phones like this are pretty lightweight thanks to polycarbonate builds, but I don't think that means either phone feels necessarily cheap, and there definitely is no hollow feeling with these devices because there's certainly a well-packed feel and construction in the hand, and then if you combo that with the pastel colours, I think personally this is an awfully attractive design. Luckily in every other aspect though, the A33 and the A53 stack up really well against one another with the same chipset, the same RAM, storage, battery configurations. There's also dual SIM and micro SD card expansion up to 1TB, and even the colours on offer here are the same across the lineup. The Exynos 1280 processor is used in both, and this is built upon a 5nm process, which is actually a first for the Galaxy A series. And this should help performance, and the gains that have been touted by Samsung are pretty substantial, but I don't want to give a verdict either way at this early stage as we only had a brief amount of hands-on time period with these devices. It is also important to note that not many affordable Android devices such as these are actually able to offer water and dust protection, but there is even an IP67 rating on the Galaxy A33 and the A53 here too. This is going to be a sound package no matter which device you do have set your sights upon. Samsung has also packed in a sizable 5000 mAh battery into both of these devices. That said, we haven't been able to test these phones in the real world and get through some real world usage, but this could, in all honesty, mean 2-day lifespans if you're a lightweight user. Sadly though, wireless charging is not included on either phone, but there is 25W wired charging supported, but there is reportedly no charger in the box, so you may need to pick one up separately if you want to achieve those speeds. Another blow as well, in terms of the design, is the removal of the 3.5mm headphone port on both of these smartphones, which is something that might cause a little bit of fan frustration not having wired audio on such an affordable rounded devices. As for software, One UI 4.1 comes as standard on the Duo, which is the very latest version of Android 12 from Samsung. That's the very same build that's found on the recent Galaxy S22 series, with all of those new features on those devices intact, save those S Pen features. Most importantly, this actually includes the RAM Plus feature that allows you to use or allot a portion of your onboard storage to a virtual RAM section, and hopefully this will improve device performance and longevity as you can effectively bump that 6GB of RAM all the way up to 12. Also aiding that performance longevity is the 5-year update promise, which includes regular monthly patches for 5 years with 4 full OS upgrades also guaranteed. Samsung is really throwing the update aspect at the Galaxy A series, and it's really, really nice to see, especially from a long-term sustainability and longevity aspect. Although tied technically to the hardware, there is also an under-display fingerprint scanner here, which is included for biometric security. Unlike the flagship Galaxy phones with their ultrasonic readers, this is an optical reader here on the Galaxy A33 and the A53. On top of that, Samsung Knox is also packed in the software bundle for the added security and making this Duo a pretty solid option for workplace deployment as maybe a secondary handset for businesses and business people out there. So that's the software and most of the design out of the way. It's the camera layouts where the Galaxy A53 and the A33 have the most differences, despite having what are visually similar camera or quad camera layouts for the first time. The Galaxy A33 comes with a 48 megapixel main sensor, while the A53 has a slightly larger 64 megapixel sensor packed in. The ultra-wide sensor is also marginally higher resolution on the A53, with the 8 megapixel sensor on the A33 usurped by that 12 megapixel sensor on the bigger model. This continues with an improved depth sensor used for portrait mode, which is 2 megapixels versus 5 megapixels. And then elsewhere, the selfie camera is almost 3 times the resolution on the Galaxy A53 here too. This should mean cleaner, sharper selfies for that slightly higher resolution 32 megapixel sensor versus the 13 megapixel sensor on the A33. On top of that, you've also got 4K video recording, which is becoming a standard on probably all smartphones out there. Plus there's improvements to night mode and portrait mode features across both devices, but objectively, the better setup is definitely that of the A53 5G. So if you're wondering which is the right model for me, well, if you live in the US, Samsung has already made the decision about which device you should choose for you already, as the Galaxy A33 5G is actually not expected to launch in North American markets, at least for the time being. That said, you're still getting an excellent package with the A53 that even stacks up well against the recent Galaxy S21 FE, and even in some cases the base model S22 at almost half the price. You're going to get 5 years of software support, decent internals, and what is an attractive design in 4 nice pastel colours, and there are a few affordable smartphones out there that can offer quite as much for under $450. Initially, the Galaxy A53 5G might seem like a better buy given the screen and camera improvements, but the A33 5G still stacks up well and there's no real major downgrades, plus a little bit of a cheaper entry price point. That said, this isn't a definitive versus comparison of these two devices, but we will have a full review of the Duo coming very soon, so stay tuned for our full verdict. We want to know though what you think of this Duo right now, the Galaxy A33 and the A53. Let us know down in the comment sections below. But as always, this is Damien with 9to5 Google saying thanks for watching, and I will speak to you later.